Hey, I'm Sarah, and I'm married to the most incredible man, James, who's not just a successful real estate development CEO, but also the most amazing stepdad to my daughter, Emily. He entered our lives when Emily was 5, filling the void left by her biological father, Tom, a freelance web developer who disappeared from the picture when she was just a baby. Tom's sporadic appearances since then never amounted to real parenting, always full of excuses about his latest failed startup or unstable income. When James came into our lives, everything changed. At 52, he brought stability and warmth we never knew we needed. From our first meeting in his sleek downtown office, where he was finalizing plans for his latest development project, I could tell he was different. James, having been raised by a stepfather himself, understood the delicate balance needed in blended families. "I have something for Emily," he said during one of our early dates, pulling out a carefully wrapped package. Inside was a beautifully illustrated book about ballet. He'd noticed the tiny dancer figurine on our mantel during his first visit. It wasn't an expensive gift, but the thoughtfulness behind it showed me everything I needed to know about his character. This was a man who paid attention to details, who cared enough to notice the little things. Emily, who's now a 26-year-old marketing executive at a major tech company, took to him pretty quickly. I remember watching them together. James in his perfectly tailored suit, fresh from a board meeting, sitting cross-legged on our living room floor, helping Emily with her homework. The sight of this successful businessman, who spent his days managing multi-million-dollar deals, patiently explaining multiplication tables to a 5-year-old, made my heart swell. Living in our upscale Chicago suburb, we've built a life I never thought possible. James's success in real estate development has given us comfort, but more importantly, his genuine love for Emily has given us something priceless, a real family. Early years together. What stands out most in my memory is James' unwavering support of Emily's passion for ballet. She started taking classes at 6, and despite running a multi-million-dollar real estate development company, James never missed a single recital. He'd slip out of important board meetings, still in his business suit, just to make it to her performances on time. Not only did he ensure she had the best ballet shoes and tutus, but he also arranged private lessons with top instructors when she had major performances coming up. I remember one particularly nerve-wracking performance when Emily was 9. The day before, James postponed a crucial investor meeting to take her to the local park. "Success isn't just about business deals," he told me later that evening, as he sat in our kitchen helping Emily practice her routine for the 100th time. "It's about being there for the people you love." They created this special ritual together, a silly little chant that became their pre-performance tradition. James, this powerful CEO who commanded respect in boardrooms across Chicago, would stand backstage with Emily, both of them whispering their secret confidence boost. "Butterflies in tummy, stars in heart, time to be amazing, ready to start." It was these moments that showed me the true measure of a father. During her middle school years, when Emily struggled with math, James would come home from long days at the office, quickly change out of his suit, and sit with her at our kitchen table. Hours would pass as they worked through problem after problem. Even after marathon meetings and high-stress negotiations, he never showed a hint of impatience. "Every challenge is just a puzzle waiting to be solved," he'd tell her, his voice steady and encouraging, despite the exhaustion I could see in his eyes. Between managing his real estate empire and supporting various orphanages, a cause close to his heart due to his own childhood experiences, James always made time for these teaching moments with Emily. His dedication to her education went far beyond just helping with homework. He was teaching her life lessons about perseverance and the value of hard work. The shadow of Tom. Despite James' constant presence and dedication, there was always this lingering shadow when it came to Tom. Emily would sometimes scroll through her social media feed, where Tom regularly posted about his latest tech ventures and startup ideas, and I'd catch a glimpse of longing in her eyes. As a rising marketing executive herself, with nearly 20,000 followers on her own professional social media accounts, she seemed drawn to Tom's entrepreneurial persona, despite his track record of failed startups in Silicon Valley. I remember one particular Father's Day that still makes my heart ache. Emily, already showing her marketing prowess, created two beautifully designed cards. A sophisticated one for James, featuring a custom infographic of all their special moments together, and another for Tom, showcasing her professional graphic design skills. She carefully packaged Tom's card with her business card tucked inside, perhaps hoping her growing success in the tech industry would finally capture his attention. "Mom, do you think you could forward this to Tom's new email?" she asked, her voice trying to maintain that professional tone she'd mastered at her tech company. But I could hear the underlying hope. I included my LinkedIn profile. Maybe he'd be interested in some networking? The mix of professional ambition and personal yearning in her voice was heartbreaking. Unsurprisingly, Tom never responded, too caught up in his latest failing venture to acknowledge his daughter's achievements. James handled these moments with remarkable grace. During our regular family dinners in our elegant dining room, he'd steer conversations toward Emily's latest marketing campaigns and professional accomplishments, never once diminishing her interest in Tom's tech world. "Your understanding of digital marketing is impressive," he'd say, genuinely interested in her professional growth, even as he ran his own successful real estate empire. When Emily turned 13, she received an email from Tom apologizing for his absence, full of grand promises about a new startup and potential father-daughter coding projects. She spent hours crafting the perfect response, even creating a professional presentation about her interests and achievements. Weeks turned into months, and that promised collaboration never materialized. James, understanding the tech industry himself through his real estate development company's digital initiatives, found ways to support Emily's growing interest in digital marketing, quietly filling the void Tom's empty promises had left. Holiday memories. One Christmas stands out vividly in my memory. Emily, fresh from a successful marketing campaign that had boosted her social media following to over 20,000, was still hoping for some acknowledgement from Tom. She'd sent him a professionally designed digital holiday card, showcasing both her personal growth and professional achievements. When Tom's only response was a generic LinkedIn connection request, the disappointment was palpable. James, ever attentive, noticed her checking her phone constantly during our Christmas Eve dinner in our beautifully decorated dining room. Instead of drawing attention to it, he excused himself to his home office, where he typically handled his real estate development calls. An hour later, he emerged with an elaborate Christmas scavenger hunt he'd created. "I know you're a digital marketing expert now," he said with a warm smile, handing Emily the first clue printed on his company's premium stationery. But sometimes the old-school approaches still work best. Each clue was thoughtfully crafted to reference their shared memories. Ballet recitals, late-night math sessions, and inside jokes from their years together. The final clue led to a custom-made video he'd commissioned, featuring congratulatory messages from her colleagues and industry connections, celebrating her professional success. High school graduation. When Emily graduated as valedictorian, James' emotion was evident to everyone in attendance. Here was this powerful CEO, known for his tough negotiations in the real estate world, openly wiping tears from his eyes as Emily delivered her speech. The graduation party he threw at our home was a perfect blend of personal and professional, string lights and childhood photos, alongside a sophisticated networking area where Emily could connect with potential industry contacts. "I've watched you grow from a little girl practicing ballet in our living room to a strong, capable professional," James said in his speech, his voice thick with emotion. Your determination and creativity inspire me every day." He'd already set up a substantial fund for her future, ensuring she could pursue her career goals without the burden of student loans, a fact that made his success in the real estate development industry all the more meaningful. The engagement announcement. About a year ago, Emily announced her engagement to Mark during a meticulously planned dinner at one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants. As a successful marketing executive, she had orchestrated every detail, from the professional photographer positioned to capture the moment to the carefully curated social media announcements scheduled for later that evening. We were all gathered in a private dining room, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a spectacular view of the city skyline. James had just closed a major real estate deal that afternoon, but you'd never know it from how present and engaged he was in the moment. Emily, looking polished in her designer outfit, waited until the dessert course to make her announcement. "Everyone," she started, her marketing expertise showing in her perfect timing and delivery, "I have some news." James looked up from his creme brulee, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. Emily held up her hand, and there it was, a stunning engagement ring catching the light from the crystal chandeliers above. "Mark and I are getting married." The room erupted in celebration. James, the man who regularly handled multi-million-dollar negotiations without flinching, jumped up from his chair with pure joy radiating from his face. He embraced Emily in a tight hug, then pulled Mark into what started as a handshake and ended as a warm embrace. "Let me give you both the wedding of your dreams," James said without hesitation, his CEO instincts already calculating how to make this happen. "Nothing but the best for you." Emily's eyes lit up, both at the prospect of a dream wedding and the opportunity to create the perfect social media story around it. I watched her discreetly pull out her phone, already planning how to capture and share this moment with her 20,000 followers. From that moment on, James threw himself into the wedding planning with the same dedication he brought to his business ventures. They visited multiple exclusive venues, sampled cakes from the city's top pastry chefs, and met with high-end wedding planners, all while Emily documented each step for her growing social media audience, turning their father-daughter wedding planning journey into engaging content that garnered thousands of likes. Tom's return. A few months into the wedding planning, our carefully curated world was disrupted when Tom suddenly reappeared in Emily's life. Fresh from his latest Silicon Valley venture, he reached out through LinkedIn with a perfectly crafted message about wanting to be part of her special day. Emily, whose marketing instincts had always been sharp, saw this as both a personal and professional opportunity. At first, everything seemed manageable. Emily would meet Tom for lunch at trendy downtown restaurants, documenting their reunions with carefully filtered photos and heartfelt captions about family reconciliation that resonated with her followers. But slowly, I noticed a shift in her interaction with James. The same business acumen that made her successful in her career was now being used to strategically distance herself from the man who had raised her. She began excluding James from key wedding planning sessions, replacing their traditional father-daughter venue visits with Tom's input instead. I noticed how she'd answer calls from Tom during our family dinners, the same dinners where she used to have a strict no phones policy out of respect for James. The shift was subtle but unmistakable, like watching a carefully crafted marketing campaign slowly replace authentic content. One evening, during a dinner meeting about wedding details, Emily was enthusiastically sharing Tom's latest startup ideas, barely acknowledging James' attempt to contribute to the conversation. "Tom and I were thinking," she began, her voice taking on that polished professional tone she used in business presentations, "that we could incorporate some tech elements into the ceremony." The look on James' face, the same man who could maintain perfect composure during high-stakes business negotiations, showed a flash of hurt before he masked it with his usual understanding smile. He excused himself from the table, mentioning something about a late-night conference call with investors. But I knew better. 20 years of marriage had taught me to read the subtle signs of his pain. Later that night, I found him in his home office, not reviewing real estate proposals as he claimed, but looking at old photos of him and Emily at her ballet recitals. The juxtaposition was stark. This powerful CEO, surrounded by documents detailing million-dollar deals, finding himself powerless in the face of his daughter's changing affections. The devastating dinner. About a week ago, during what started as a normal family dinner in our elegant dining room, Emily dropped a bombshell that shattered our carefully maintained facade. She had arranged for Tom to join us, positioning her phone discreetly to capture what she probably hoped would be a touching family moment for her social media followers. "Everyone," she began, using her practiced marketing executive voice. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about the wedding and the roles everyone will play." She glanced at her phone, probably checking if the lighting was perfect for her planned announcement. "I've decided that I want Tom to have a significant role in the ceremony." The silence that followed was deafening. James, who had just returned from closing a major real estate development deal, set down his fork with the same careful precision he used in business negotiations. The look in his eyes, I'd only seen it once before, when he lost a major contract years ago. "I want my real father to walk me down the aisle," Emily continued, her words cutting through the air like a perfectly crafted marketing pitch. "I think it's only right that Tom, my biological dad, has this special role." The irony wasn't lost on me. Here was James, the man who had built a multi-million-dollar real estate empire from ground up, being displaced from his rightful place by someone who couldn't even maintain a stable web development career. I watched as James processed this information with the same composure he showed in boardroom crises. "If that's what you want, Emily," James replied, his voice carrying the same steady tone he used in difficult business negotiations, "I'll support your decision." But I knew better. 20 years of marriage had taught me to read the subtle tightening around his eyes, the slight tension in his shoulders that betrayed his pain. I couldn't maintain the polite facade any longer. "Emily," I interjected, my voice sharp with disbelief, "do you realize what you're doing? James has been there for you through everything." I wanted to remind her of all the ballet recitals, the late-night math tutoring sessions, the countless moments that defined true fatherhood, but the cold look in her eyes stopped me. "Mom," she responded, her tone reminiscent of how she handled difficult clients at work, "I get that, but this is important to me. I want Tom to be part of my wedding. He's my biological father." The way she emphasized biological felt like a calculated jab, the kind of precise targeting she used in her marketing campaigns. The financial discussion. After much deliberation and heartache, I decided to have a serious conversation with Emily about the situation. I couldn't stand watching James, who'd spent decades building both his real estate empire and his relationship with Emily, being pushed aside for Tom's sudden appearance in the spotlight. I found Emily at her favorite upscale coffee shop, where she was probably planning her next social media content strategy. Her MacBook was open, likely tracking her latest marketing campaign metrics, when I sat down across from her. "Emily," I started, choosing my words as carefully as she chose her social media filters, "we need to talk about the wedding finances." I watched her expression shift from her professional marketing persona to something more guarded. "If James isn't going to be considered a father in this wedding, if his role is being replaced by Tom's, then we need to reconsider his financial contribution too." The look on her face transformed from shock to calculating in seconds, the same expression she wore when analyzing market trends. "Are you serious?" she asked, her voice carrying the same edge she used in tough client negotiations. "You're making this about money?" "No," I replied firmly. "I'm making this about recognition and respect. James' contribution isn't just financial. It's a gesture of fatherly love and support. If you're choosing to rewrite that narrative, then yes, we need to reassess everything. What happened next showed just how much our daughter had changed. Emily, the marketing executive who prided herself on managing brand crises, turned this personal matter into a full-scale social media campaign. She began spreading a carefully crafted narrative among our family and friends, painting James as a manipulative figure using his wealth to control her special day. The irony wasn't lost on me when I asked her why she hadn't approached Tom, her real father, for financial support. Her response was telling. Tom, between his unstable web development projects and failed startups, couldn't contribute anything substantial. Yet somehow, this didn't seem to affect her view of him as the more authentic father figure. The aftermath. James was devastated by Emily's social media campaign against him. The man who had weathered countless business storms, who had built a real estate empire from the ground up, found himself powerless against his own daughter's marketing expertise. After much soul-searching in his home office, surrounded by photos of Emily's ballet recitals and academic achievements he'd proudly displayed, he made the difficult decision to step back entirely, both emotionally and financially. The impact was immediate and severe. Emily's dream wedding plans began to crumble without James' financial backing. The exclusive Chicago venue she'd already started featuring in her social media stories had to be canceled. The designer dress she'd tagged in countless posts was suddenly out of reach. Her carefully curated wedding content strategy was falling apart, and Tom's entrepreneurial connections couldn't help fill the financial void. After the wedding, a few days after her scaled-down wedding, Emily called us. Her professional composure had cracked, her marketing executive voice replaced with raw emotion. She claimed we had ruined her wedding, that our withdrawal of support had cast a shadow over her special day. The irony of her accusations wasn't lost on me. How quickly she'd forgotten the years of unconditional support James had provided. The financial crisis. Last weekend, Emily appeared at our door, her polished marketing executive facade showing cracks. Sitting in our living room, where James had once helped her with homework, she revealed the extent of her financial troubles. The wedding had maxed out her credit cards, despite her $85,000 salary from her tech company job. When she blamed us for her situation, I couldn't help but ask about Tom's contribution. Her silence spoke volumes. Her real father, with his unstable freelance career, had refused to help. The resolution. James, ever the compassionate father despite everything, didn't hesitate to help when he heard about Emily's financial troubles. Even after her social media campaign against him, even after the hurt she'd caused, his love for her hadn't diminished. He wrote the check with the same steady hand he used to sign multi-million-dollar real estate deals, proving once again that true fatherhood isn't about biology. It's about unwavering love and support, even when it hurts. The reconciliation feels tenuous, built more on necessity than genuine understanding. As I watched James establish a repayment plan with the same patience he once used to teach Emily mathematics, I can't help but wonder if she truly understands the depth of his love, or if this is just another chapter in our complicated family story.